Magandang araw, Batangas. Andito po tayo ngayon sa Pastor Hall ng Hotel Pontefino kung saan ay isang napakahalagang milestone sa kasaysayan ng lungsod ng Batangas ang magaganap. Ito po ay ang City Development Initiative mula po sa United States Agency for International Development kung saan isa po ang lungsod ng Batangas sa 3 siyudad na nabiyayaan nitong Project Invest. So makikita po natin napakaganda ng hall na ito at talagang ready na para i-welcome ang dalawang very important persons from USAID.
Morning, sir. Welcome to Batangas. We're up in the hall of Good afternoon. It's the official dance of Batangas for welcoming guests, and it's a prayer dance. This is the Subli dance. This is a pre-Hispanic tradition for welcoming guests, and it is also a prayer for good tidings to the guests.
At sa ngayon po ay dumarating na po ang pinakang panauhing pandangal dito, sina Honorable Donald Steinberg, USA Deputy Administrator, escorted of course by Honorable Mayor Vilma Abaya de Macuja and former Mayor Eduardo B. de Macuja. Ito pa rin po sila Richua kasama si Elmer Zaraspe.
The province of Batangas is very close to Manila, and this is the area, but it's shaped like a rabbit actually. So it's prime for jumping and leaping, and we have a very ideal port, and it has speared the development of the city. Our pride is our environmental code. Actually, this is a sample of weed handicrafts produced by the women of Batangas. The environmental code was passed fairly recently, and the environmental code is a codification of our policies on environmental protection, on greenhouse gas inventory, which USAID is actually helping us, your synergy office. And right now we are promoting eco-industrial parks. We are also managing our solid waste management, and in fact we are an awardee not only locally but also internationally with the help also of USAID. Since Batangas City is the host to the center of biodiversity, our Verde Island Passage, we really undertake to manage our resources. In fact, you passed the bridge going through here. We have solar-powered panels that light our roads. We also have biogas technology, which used to electrify one of the large buildings here in Batangas. It is done by our hog racers. It's a hog racers cooperative, and they use biogas technology. Yes, and also we have marine protection policies, and we are now being copied and emulated by many cities and municipalities across the country. And we are very proud of our ecological solid waste management. We have a ban against plastics and styrofoam in the city, yes. And in fact, our solid waste management is participated in by all 105 barangays. In the 105 communities of Batangas, they themselves undertake to segregate garbage, to use to do composting for organic waste, and to do recyclable materials, and to segregate them at source so that we can better manage our solid waste. And we have air quality management regularly in Batangas. I think it's quarterly. And the air quality in Batangas, we're very proud of it. It's so good that the swallows have now returned, and every 6 o'clock, they actually nestle in our electric and telephone poles every 5 o'clock in the city. We're very proud of this. Our greenhouse gas in accounting and inventory, we are actually a pioneer in the Philippines, and we have a lot of help from USAID Synergy. And now we have an accounting of about 7,025 metric tons of carbon dioxide. We are now going into the community level of our greenhouse gas accounting and inventory. The greenhouse gas accounting and inventory is actually participated in, not just by the local government, but also different national government agencies, and also the the private sector. It's also private sector driven because they also understand the need to minimize our carbon and our emissions. And these are the signatories, different private groups and chambers. This was the audiovisual presentation that we presented in Songpan in South Korea when we competed in the International Lidcom Awards. We had a lot of support from USAID, and actually Batangas City fortunately was able to win the Gold Award in the projects category and the Silver Award in the International Livable Communities category. And we would like to thank the American people for that.
We'd like to thank you for...
These are actually actual pictures of the coral reefs and the marine life in the Verde Island Passage. It is the body of water in between Verde Island and Batangas City, and it has been dubbed as the center of marine biodiversity. It is the marine version of the Amazon, so I think it really needs protection. It's a good thing.
Where are we going? Scuba diving?
Oh yes, yes sir. You're very much
We
welcome,
want to
sir.
snorkel there.
Oh yes, sir.
Actually, it's a collaborative project also of USAID from
Yes.
the Synergy
The synergy.
Environment Office.
This the documentation, sir, of our victory in Songpa, South Korea, with help from USAID.
Congratulations.
And we have continued, our people understand because of that victory, we continuously protect our environment, do our solid waste management, and this is the campaign that we do in the city and also nationally, so that our victory also becomes a sense of pride, not only for our people, but for the entire Filipino people as well. Not only that Lidcom Award, we also have
So,
the
dumating na po ang
Good
guest of
Governance
honors,
Award
no
because of
other
our
than Honorable
transparency
Lawrence
and our
Honorable
honesty in
Donald
dealings with the
Stewart
private
from
sector and also
USAID.
with our
At
purchases
kanina
and
po ay nakita
construction
natin ang
projects. We're very proud of
orientation
this.
at
The actual secretary of the
paniwanag
Local
po
Government came to
ni Attorney
Batangas
Reginald
to give that
Dubaculo
award.
dito po sa mga
And this is our seal of good
exhibit,
housekeeping.
mga panels kung saan pinakikita po ang
And finally,
strengths ng
we're
Batangas
very
City
proud
kung
of our
bakit
Delegate
siya ay
Finally,
binibigyan
we were
ng
this is the
pagkilala
most
ng
prestigious local government
siya
award.
ng gobyerno
Our
at
entry
ng
was the cooperation
publics
between
ng
the
private
government
sector.
and a
So
group
right
of
now,
scavengers. We organized
we're
them,
about to
and these
start
scavengers
this program.
became
And
businessmen,
present here
and they
are
are
the
now
regional
they are now
directors
haulers,
of
and they do
Calabarzon
solid waste
from
participatory
Department of
solid waste management.
Department
And
of
this
Trade
was
and
one of the
Industry,
successful cooperations
NENA,
between government and the
and
private sector.
the
A group of
department heads
scavengers
led
becoming
by,
businessmen
Mayor
and helping solve
Dimaculo
environmental problems.
and former
this one
Mayor
is,
David Dimaculo.
our mayor was
The
recognized as
rest
the top
of the
5
department heads and
local
media
government
partners
chiefs
are
in the
here
country
to witness
for
this
platform
special
on local
event.
government on environmental protection.
Mayor Vilma Imakuha, Undersecretary Zenaida Maglaya of the Department of Trade and Industry, Presidents and officials of the Batangas Province Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Batangas Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, presidents of universities and colleges, representatives from the banking sector and cooperatives, officials of the regional offices of the DILG, DTI, and NENA, ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Steinberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, I too would be proud to say that I am a child of Batangas. Unfortunately, it's not true. This is my first trip to this lovely city and this lovely province. It's not my first trip to the Philippines. Simply would like to say thank you so much for the warm welcome you provided. The United States and the Philippines are friends. who are standing on the same side of international freedom and justice and for the prosperity of all the people of this region. So thank you so much, and it will be a pleasure to sign this agreement.
To introduce our Honorable Mayor, may I call on Attorney R.G. Mapua to introduce him.
It is my pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Batangas City. Actually, she's a one-term mayor now. She's a first-term mayor, but just done leaps and bounds in terms of the development of our city. She is more popular for her platforms. She stands by good governance. She stands by reforms, and she stands by her more popular slogan. If His Excellency President Barack Obama campaigned under the slogan, "Yes, we can," our mayor, when she campaigned, and even now that she is the mayor of Batangas City, stood by her slogan, "Kayang-kaya, basta't sama-sama," which in English means, "Together we can." I give you the first female mayor of the city of Batangas. She has done leaps and bounds for our city, our mother, and my mother, Mayor Vilma Abaya Timapu.
To our USAID family, headed by Honorable Donald Steinberg, Ms. Gloria Steele, Mr. John Avila, Mr. Reed H. Lima, Mr. Thomas Rojas, from the DTI family, USEC Mary Cruz, Batangas City Private Sector, President Pontefino, members of the Academy, regional line agencies, civil society group, city government heads and officials, city councilors, local media, ladies and gentlemen. 2.5 decades ago, when my husband was first elected mayor of our city, he inherited from his predecessor poverty, a city troubled with weekly brownouts, a garbage collection system dependent on an open dump site, and Carabao drone sleds going around the city, an annual city government revenue of 60 million pesos. Since my husband's family lived near the shoreline, I remember when going home to my parents-in-law in Pinamukan meant praying for good weather and low tide, as barangays from Pinamukan to Talahib, Pandayan could not be reached by land travel. The Batangas Bay Road was then non-existent. Electricity was farthest from our wildest dreams. I remember my husband coming home one morning. He had very good news. The Japanese government, through JICA, was giving Batangas City 4 state-of-the-art compactor trucks to improve our garbage collection system. Through my husband's determined leadership, the hard work of our people, and timely aid from foreign friends, Batangas City was clearly on its way to progress. To solve our problems on power outages, my husband was able to talk Meralco into servicing Batangas City. He introduced reforms in governance and dedicated himself into transforming Batangas City from the sleepy town it once was to the vibrant and promising city as it is today. Today, Batangas City has an annual income of 1.2 billion pesos. Rarely do we worry about brownouts, although we sympathize with our brothers and sisters in Mindanao. Batangas City has one of the best solid waste management systems in the country. The Gold Award recently received in Seoul, South Korea, is a testament to our people's resolve to take a united and disciplined stand to take care of our Mother Earth, to honor our beloved city, and to glorify God Almighty. Today, I stand before you as Mayor of Batangas City, happy at the reforms I further introduced. I think that the rewards, recognitions, and successes of the city government of Batangas under my stewardship will speak for themselves. Decades ago, my husband had JICA. Today, we're at another historical milestone. The United States of America is once again on our shores, pledging technical assistance to help make Batangas City gain an even stronger economy. I very much look forward to coming home today and telling my family the good news. Please note that Batangueños are a proud people who frown on mendicancy. We are not beggars. We, however, pay immense gratitude to those who aid us in our times of need. I look forward to the gains we will achieve through our cooperation, and thank you immensely for your faith in Batangas City. We assure you that my government is strongly committed to undertake needed reforms that will make Batangas City more competitive. Under my leadership, we will harness the support of the Batangas City private sector and other stakeholders to ensure that Batangas City will realize its potential as an economic hub in Calabar Zone. To the United States of America, we have the gratitude of a proud people that will forever be in your debt. Mabuhay ang USAID. Mabuhay ang Batangas City. Thank you very much.
We will now have the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding.
For the information of our USAID guests, Batangas City is probably the biggest recipient of the OFW OFW remittances among the more than 100 cities in the country. Being a part of the CTI cities of the USAID is really an opportunity for the city to harness its potential as one of the growth centers in the region, leading development not only within your city, but in the surrounding municipalities of Batangas province, as well as in neighboring provinces like Quezon. The world-class international port in the city, the Southern Tagalog Access Road, which spared us from traffic going from Makati to Batangas City, and the Southern Luzon Expressway Calamba Interlink, all bring in new and cascading streams of opportunities which, if properly seized and well responded to, would accelerate the growth of the city. More importantly, Batangas City also has a good pool of hardworking and talented human resources which can be tapped to bolster the agro-industrial potentials of the city. At this point, I cannot help but recall an experience in General Santos City. It was also a second year of the Pontefino administration when USAID came in to create not only a milestone, but a real part of the history of the Philippines. You must have heard about the Southern Mindanao Area Development Program that was initiated, supported, and nurtured by the USAID. So I cannot help but also foresee that Batangas will even grow farther, stronger, and more progressive than that area in Mindanao. There are several parallelisms, like during our lunch, I already mentioned that there is a Kalumpang River here. I reminded the Honorable Director of the Philippines Mission that, in fact, Kalumpang is also a very prominent river in General Santos City, which, of course, is very much aware of. So, indeed, it is an honor that no less than the second highest official of USAID is present in today's launching. It is a no mean feat to drive 2.5 hours, or at least 2 hours now, from Manila to be in this event. And your presence is a manifestation of the seriousness of your government, sir, to our cities. It demonstrates the U.S. government's support to the Aquino government's strategy to promote investments in achieving inclusive growth, generating jobs, and reducing poverty. But the quest for investments remains challenging with the financial problems in Europe and in some of the country's trading partners. Hence, the government is placing competitiveness at the top of its agenda for growth, with focus on accelerating infrastructure development and improved governance. The cities, being the windows of the country to the outside world, have been drivers of growth and development in many Asian countries, including the Philippines. They play a key role in linking the country to the rapidly challenging global environment through trade, while playing a pivotal role in accelerating local economic development. It is therefore fitting that USAID is focusing on first-class cities like Batangas. We also support the holistic approach being adopted by USAID that will cover sectors like education, health, environment, infrastructure, and energy. It is becoming very important in the country today. These sectors will complement USAID's program in improving the city's investment climate through the INVEST project, INVEST. We at DTI is particularly pleased that USAID's assistance will cover the further streamlining of the business permitting process of the target cities. Lessons from the experience will hopefully assist DTI and the Department of Interior and Local Government in complying with the President's instructions to streamline the business permitting processes in all cities and municipalities by end of this term in 2016. Efficiency is in processing business permits, especially in sectors that the government is promoting, like agribusiness and tourism. This is crucial in generating more investments at the local level. Today's launching is but the initial step in recognizing the vast potential of Batangas City as an economic hub. The more difficult and arduous task is in the next months when the city government will be tasked with putting in place the necessary reforms critical in making the city more competitive in a sustainable way. It will not be an easy ride, as there would be challenges that the city has to face. Together with other national line agencies, the Department of Trade and Industry expresses its commitment to support the CDI of USAID for the benefit of Batangas City and the other target cities of the CDI. We are confident that CDI will be able to make the pilot cities showcases of business procedures that will match the best in the ASEAN region, as well as models of industry cluster development that will attract more economic activities into the city. The DTI will continue to assist the city in implementing reforms, especially those that would require national government policy actions. We assure the USAID of our unwavering commitment and support so that the efforts and resources put into this undertaking will not go to waste. Congratulations again to Batangas City. We are confident that with the cooperation of the business sector, the city will be a model for all LGUs in creating a business environment that will attract investments. Our sincerest gratitude to USAID for supporting Batangas in particular and local economic development in general. We hope that we will be able to expand your assistance to more cities in the future. Good day. Maraming salamat.
Kapag po doon sa sinabi ninyo na sana mapatulad dito doon sa... Yes.
Yeah, it's likely, it's even more chances because ang Jensan, ang layo, laid back masyado ang Jensan when USAID came in. That was during my stint as the provincial director. Kaya I know it by heart. Okay? And ang kabutihan ng programa kasi ng USAID, they have their consultants, but they consult a lot. So, meaning, they're not developing an area without touching base with the dwellers or the people there, the real stakeholders. So, lahat therefore ng inyong aspirations plus yung napiperceive ninyong kakulangan, mapag-usapan. Like, if you talk about, kasi you have your capital already, you have your ACE, no? You have your port. And as sabi ko nga kanina sa nag-interview sa akin, you know, these days, ang competitiveness is almost always logistics-driven. Kung magandang logistics support mo, mapapamura ang transport mo, mura na makakarating sa merkado, kahit saan ng part ng mundo. Therefore, matutulungan yung ating mga negosyante and they will be able to sell their products. As they sell their products, there will be more investors to come or that would be coming kasi isip nila parati is kung saan sila makakapag-profit, makakapag-negosyo ng sustainably. So, all you need to do is make sure, kasi may 5-year timeline kayo, no? All you need to do is make sure na nagkakasundo kayo lahat by way of what direction the city would like to go. And then, yung with the help of USAID, kasi big brother naman talaga ang USAID, no? Ang USA. So, malaking bagay yon para sa Batangas City.
Thank you very much, and more power.
On behalf of the Batangas Province Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I'd like to greet Gloria Steele, USAID Philippine Director, and Mr. Donald Steinberg, U.S. Deputy Administrator, and Ms. Offie Temple, Civil Commissions, the Honorable Mayor Wilma Abaya de Mapua, the City Councilors, my fellow members of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Andrew Tan of the Philippine Chinese Chamber of Commerce, and the other local executives. We are here today for the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding for the Project Invest Development Initiative for Batangas City. It is a great honor and privilege that Batangas City has been chosen as one of the project's proponents by USAID. And we, the members of the Chamber of Commerce, would like to thank you and pledge our support for this project. As Batangas City has been identified as the catalyst for growth and development, not only for the region, but the whole southern Luzon. This is an example of PPP, public-private partnership, between the government and the private sector, working together for the progressive development of our community. Again, I would like to express our gratitude to the city government and USAID for making all this possible. Thank you, and we just like to convey this message to President Obama that in Batangas City, yes, we can. Maraming salamat.
A prime example of our between USAID and local Chamber of Commerce. So we have some American investors coming in already by next week, and we will be establishing the framework for a business processing center for Batangas City. Together with the USAID and the local chamber, we will be helping each other on the technically and financial aspect of the projects.
Do you think that means more livelihood and job employment for Batangueños in the city?
Yeah, yes, of course, yes. More livelihood and better manageable growth and business employments.
Thank you, Mapal.
For the USAID side, what are your considerations, or is the Port of Batangas one of your major considerations in choosing Batangas City? And to the mayor of Batangas City, what are at least two tangibles you are seeing in this memorandum of agreement, in this partnership? And what areas of development you are prioritizing for the partnership? Thank you.
Prioritizing inclusive development. It is not enough for countries to achieve high rates of economic growth. That growth has to be reflected in the full participation of all peoples in the economic life of the country, employment, opportunities to invest, etc. That includes for us women, it includes certainly people with disabilities, it includes people from indigenous and minority populations, it includes people from the LGBT community. We have an expression we use at USAID, nothing about them without them. And what that means is that these communities have to be not only the beneficiaries of development, but they have to be the planners and the implementers of programs that affect their lives. And so indeed, as we look to our city's development initiative.
Regard to the question on the port, as I indicated earlier, and as Ambassador Steinberg also said in his speech, there are a number of criteria that we use in selecting the cities. One of them is the potential for growth. And indeed, the presence of the port provides potential for growth for Batangas City, which we would like to build on. It's there, it hasn't reached its full potential. We would like to work with the city and the people and the private sector of Batangas City to be able to realize that potential. Other equally important criteria, of course, is the partnership that we talked about earlier with the private sector, between the private sector, the public sector, and the non-governmental sector, and as well as the commitment of the local government to the needed reforms in order to reach the potential. Thank you.
We as city government expect a better DPLO. We are trying to get a one-stop shop at licensing, and we expect better infrastructure, employment for our city, and I guess I said we're trying to level up and compete globally. Sabi nga ay level up Batangas City.
Good afternoon, I'm Anna Shula from the City Public Information Office. With the Batangas City Investment Code passage approved by the City Mayor, how will the partnership grow and evolve to a partnership of USAID and Batangas City towards a more progressive city? Because right now, we have the Batangas City Investment Codes. Is this part of your, potential of achieving greater growth in the city. In some of the cities, the investment road does not exist or still needs to be written, and here it is here, so we can help the city implement that efficiently and effectively. And so yes, it is a very important consideration.
I just would like to ask the representative of the city, what are the benefits that the city will get from this project? How can you measure the success or the failure of this project?
Probably differently from the way that we have implemented projects in the past is to conduct baseline study, just so we know where we're starting from, and so we will know how much progress has been made or how little progress is being made so that we can make corrective actions. One of the things that we did earlier before the signing today was to conduct a needs assessment. Take a look at where the gaps are, where we can work together, and those will be the areas where the city will benefit. But it's not just all a benefit to the city. As we have said earlier, there is mutual responsibility. The benefits will come in return. The city is equally responsible for making sure that the needed reforms, which the good mayor mentioned earlier, she will be implementing, are put in place. So areas such as streamlining business permit processes, looking at strengthening the school systems, particularly the higher education system and primary education, in order to improve the labor force, the productivity of the labor force, trying to link universities with the industry so that universities turn out students that can find employment locally. And of course, just looking at industries, small and medium enterprises, where we can achieve multiplier effects in terms of employment generation. Undersecretary earlier said that Batangas City is the biggest recipient of remittances from overseas workers. Our dream is one day that everyone does not have to leave the Philippines in order to find a better life for themselves. Our dream is to be able to find alternatives to going overseas, creating employment locally, employment that can provide the same kind of income, but better living standards that you find when you go overseas. It will take a little while, but that's the goal. That's where we want to be. That families stay together, because what's happening now is fathers or mothers leave the country in search for a better life. And in many cases they do, but in some cases we find trafficking, people, forced labor, exploited labor, and those are things we need to avoid. We need to be able to create employment opportunities here in the country so that families can stay together. And indeed, inclusive growth happens locally and domestically.
I could just add, the signature of the memorandum of understanding today was between two government entities, but the reality is that development is a whole of society exercise, and so we are working together to facilitate the involvement of civil society, the involvement of private enterprise, the involvement of other international financial entities, universities, faith-based organizations. These are the true drivers of economic development in any environment. And so we as government entities are pledging today to create the environment that allows these true drivers of development to step forward. We're trying to reduce risk. We're trying to leverage financial contribution. We're trying to serve as a catalyst, recognizing that no government, no single entity of any kind has a monopoly on good ideas, on ground truth, on financial resources, or on moral authority.
We have
Tungkol po dun sa question na ano yung measure ng success. You'll be staying here for 5 years, right? And ano po yung technical assistance na ibibigay sa Batangas?
Iba-iba. Ang sabi nga nung deputy ko, dumating sila dito siguro mga 2 weeks ago para tignan kung ano yung mga areas ng technical assistance will be needed. So this will be in small and medium enterprise development, in education, in health. So it depends on what that study produced.
Frankly, we were just at the port and trying to identify opportunities for expanding the utilization of the port, which at present is underutilized. It's our belief that, again, development has to be inclusive. It has to impact on the populations, and it has to reverse patterns of disempowerment and marginalization. So for women, for disabled people, for ethnic minorities, for the LGBT community, development has to matter.
Sir, ang ganda po ng speech ni Mayor Vilma at talagang binabalikan niyo yung inyong mga nagawa in terms of progress. Ano pa masasabi niyo?
Oo, ako napansin ko rin, napakaganda ng pagkahanay ng kanyang speech. At siyempre, doon sa speech niya ay akong napapatayo sa akin sila. Dahil naisip mo rin na yung continuity of program na numpisahan ko, hindi ko natapos na 3 years lang ang term. Sinundan naman niya. Kaya nagkakaroon ng realization yung project o yung dream na magawa mo yun. At ito, magandang balita rin ito sa ating mga kababayan, itong kinuwang signing of understanding na tutulong ang USAID in terms of investment nyatay for 2 years. Ganun, tapos yung iba mga 5 years na. So, maganda ito dahil nakatutok dito ang AID. Talagang tinuturuan, kumbaga sa mga batang naglalakad, ay tinuturuan lumakad. Ayun ang mangyayari dito. At alam mo naman, pag yung mga yan ang nasa likod na isang proyekto, talagang tinutuloy-tuloy yung to its aim or target or goal. Kaya, yun ang ating masasabi.
Ito po, 3 syudad lang sa buong Pilipinas, isang Batangas City.
Sa 3 cities, ay isa ang Batangas City. Sa laki naman ng bansang Pilipinas, ay makakasama kang kahit ikaw lamang o ilang ka, ay di nakakatuwa na rin. That's already an achievement. So, sana ganito mangyari pa at marami pang mga makakatulong ng mga international agencies, iba't ibang gobyerno ng iba't ibang bansa na tumulong sa atin sa lalo na ang economic side, yung economy ma-improve at guminawa ang buhay ng tao para sila naman ay makinabang at ang mga future generation ay makinabang sa programang ito.
First of all, we are very lucky because the USAID has selected Batangas City as one of their Cities Development Initiative project. And I think with this, it will now open the Calabarzon region, particularly Batangas City, to the world. And we expect more investments here, more markets, and more movements of people, products in this part of the country.
Here, Attorney Reginald De Macuja, Chief of Staff and Secretary to the City Mayor. Assessment po niyo dito sa MOA signing?
I think it's very good and it's very promising. Napakaaganda at napakaganda ng senyales ito para sa ating lungsod. Kasi yun mismong ang pinaka makapangyarihang bansa sa buong mundo, ang Estados Unidos, ang Amerika, ay malaki yung faith sa Batangas City at handang tulungan ng Batangas City para mapaunlad pa natin ang ating lungsod, makapag-generate tayo ng mas maraming employment opportunities sa ating mga kababayan, mas maraming negosyo ang dumating dito sa ating lungsod, at ito ay talagang nakakatuwa naman at ito ay nangyayari sa pailalim ng liderato ni Mayor Vilma De Macuja.
So napansin po nila yung mga awards, yung achievements
Oo, nakakatuwa kasi medyo dito nga na-highlight ko ano yung mga awards na natanggap ng lungsod ng Batangas. Una muna, yung ating pagkakapanalo sa Livcom Awards, no? Sa South Korea. Yung award na yon, bino mo mga tinalo natin mga bansa, ang dami, and they're rich cities. Pero yet nanalo yung Batangas City. Tapos yung sa napanalo natin na Seal of Good Housekeeping mula sa DILG. Pagkatapos yung latest natin, yung Galing Pook Award na natanggap natin mula sa National Government din dahil sa public-private partnership ng yung dito sa San Jose Sico landfill cooperative at saka ang city government yung pagtutulungan yan. At ang huli natin yung pagiging outstanding local chief executive ni Mayor Vilma na sa Meralco Luminaries, tapos nahanay pa siya kina Mayor Junjun Binay, kina Mayor Benner Abalos, yung mga malalaking syudad. At yun ay talagang na-recognize sa Manila. At nakakatuwa, binanggit pa nga ni Mr. Donald Steinberg na it is not only Batangas, we come here not only because Batangas City is an award-winning city. We came to Batangas City not only because of its environmental platform. We came to Batangas because we believe in the people of Batangas City. And that's a strong statement from a foreign city, from a foreign country for Batangas City. Nakakatuwa. Ipagmamalaki naman natin yon.
What do we expect to become in 2 years or so?
We expect a close coordination. Una muna with this Invest project, meaning yung pagtulong sa atin ng USAID in streamlining our business permit processing. Pagkatapos yung pag-identify ng mga areas na pwede pang ma-develop locally or infrastructure na kailangan. At saka tinutulungan din nila tayo to align with the national government offices. Yung halimbawa, hindi tayo na masyadong napapansin ng mga ibang national government agencies na dapat tulungan yung Batangas City. Sinasabihan nila na kailangan po ganito kasi level up na po yung Batangas City, dapat mag-level up na rin kayo. They do that. And then also, they also are bringing in CDI, the Cities Development Initiative. So actually, they brought in initial talks already with their health department, education department. So malaki talaga yung stake na gagawin nila for Batangas City. And hopefully, in the next 2-5 years, no, this will really be a signal na under the mayor's leadership and maybe under Mayor Eddie's leadership, talagang patuloy yung pag-unlad ng lungsod ng Batangas. Salamat po. Thank you.
Kasama natin dito si Consehal Marvy Marino. With regard to the City Investment Code, sa tingin nyo makakatulong ito dun sa pag-strengthen nitong mga linkages sa mga private sector para mag-invest dito sa lungsod ng Batangas?
Unang-una, yun talaga yung layunin ng investment code. Kaya natin ginawa yun is para maging maganda at mas mabilis yung mga proseso ng mga bago mag-i-invest dito sa lungsod ng Batangas. Siguro nakita na rin yun ng USAID at nakita na nila na meron tayong investment code as to yung applicability dun para sa mga investments na gagawin nila. Hindi natin alam kasi hindi naman nila sinabi kung ano yung klaseng investments yung ipapasok nila. It could be BPO, yung mga call centers, mga ganon. So, titingnan ulit natin kung ano yung pwedeng makatulong sa atin at the same time sa mga nagninegosyo dito sa lungsod ng Batangas kung may kailangang ayusin doon sa investment code. Kasi alam naman natin kailangan ordinansa yung improvements na gagawin natin doon sa investment code. Although kahit na meron silang mga suggestions, ordinansa pa rin ang kailangan upang yan ay mabago. At depende yan kung talagang beneficial sa mga magnenegosyo sa lungsod ng Batangas.
They seem to work independently and have their own research at they come up with Batangas City as one of the 3 cities to be given this development initiative. So ano yung signalas nito, Consehal Marvy?
Yes, narinig ko na sila mismo nagagawa ng feasibility studies. Kaya nga nila na-consider ang Batangas City kasi nalaman nila may mga awards tayo, may mga e-code tayo. Gusto nila yung local government officials natin. Gusto nila yung how we work together with our people, with the business community and the academe and lahat ng ganon. Kaya nila napili tayo. So, hindi na ako nagtataka na napili nila tayo. Kasi, unang-una, bukod sa strategic yung location natin, we have a port, maganda yung local government natin at saka yung community. Very responsive sa mga programs na ini-initiate ng government. So, hindi ako nagtataka bakit nila napili ito. Hindi yun basta na lang nila sinabi. Yan ay naggawa ng study. Kasi hindi naman sila basta-basta papasok dito nang wala silang alam na informasyon.
So it gives a sense of pride to the Batangan.
Actually, yun yung unang-unang benefit natin. Hindi naman alam nung iba na ang benefit natin, the fact na naisip nila ay dito sila mag-invest, it is a sign, it is a signal to all Batangueños na bukod tangi tayong may nakikitaan sila ng potensyal. Siyempre, sa dami naman ng cities, hindi lang sa Metro Manila, sa Mindanao, bakit dito sila pupunta? We are one of 3 cities, if I'm not mistaken, na pinili tayo. So, it is very interesting how magkakaroon tayo ng partnership with, it is not just the USAID, it is their other investors na kasama nila na dadalhin dito. So, in detail, hindi pa natin alam kung ano yung mga yon. Nagmi-meeting pa yung iba't ibang grupo para malaman, ma-identify kung ano yung bagay sa ating lugar.
Thank you very much and more power, Councilor Marvin.
Kakatuwa at tayo napili isa sa mga cities na magkakameron ng economic boom para dito dating ang mga investors at matulungan tayo sa ating sa economy.
Nabanggit niyo sa speech niyo talagang inyong ni-recall yung experience ng inyong husband, si dating mayor, na talagang nagsimula sa mababa tapos yun, niyakap niyo yung kanya mga programa.
Oo, yun naman nakita ko na yung paglago ng ating city from 1988 hanggang sa ngayon, isang malaking achievement para sa atin at ipinagpapatuloy ko naman.
Message po sa ating mga kababayan, kaugnay po nitong napakalaking proyektong ito, na kapartner po ang USAID.
Sana naman ay panahon na para tayo magkaisa, pagtulong-tulungan natin para maraming mag-invest dito, maging tourism friendly tayo, una-una, para talaga magkameron ng hanap buhay ang mga tao.
Salamat po at congratulations. So, napanood po natin kung ano po yung naging kaganapan dito sa signing ng Memorandum of Understanding between the Batangas City Government and the United States for International Development. At inaasahan po na ito na po ang simula ng pagsigla, ng pag-iibayo, ng economic, social, prosperity dito po sa lungsod na Batangas. Hindi lang po social and economic, pero lahat po ng aspeto ng development, especially sa education, health, ay pagtutuunan po ng pansin. So mula po dito sa Pastor Hall, Hotel Pontefino, kasama si Elmer Zaraspe. Leti Chua, nag-uulat.